Hi, Grandpa.
Alright.
You want to tell us your name and the origins of our family and what generation we are?
Well, my name is Paul Monk, and my great-grandfather was David Monk, and he was born in Germany. And he immigrated to the United States in 1854, and he came to Stark County, Ohio. Now, he had an uncle that lived in Ohio, probably in Stark County, and that uncle kept writing letters back to him saying, "Come on over." And so after a while he did. So that's why he came to Ohio. And when they got to Ohio, why I don't know whether he decided or his uncle, but at any rate, Indiana had just been opened not too long, and he said, "Go on to Indiana." And so he went on to Indiana and started farming in Noble County, Indiana.
And that's where you were born? Were you born in?
Born in Noble County,
Noble
yes.
County.
But a long time later.
So, our family stayed there a couple generations, and then you were born there?
Yes. He was killed, my great-grandfather was killed in 1871. He was killed by a railroad handcar when he was pulling a sled load of logs across the railroad tracks.
Now, do you know of any family traditions we had?
Family traditions?
Yeah, anything
Monk family?
Yeah. or Shively, or just
Shively family, of course.
Either part of the family, Grandpa or Grandma.
Shively part of the family was a very close-knit, and they always had big reunions and church gatherings, and every Sunday they did things. And now the Monk family that I knew, we never got together with people. There might be get together at Christmas or something like that, but for the most part we didn't. But the Shiveleys, every week.
Now, what about size of family? Like, because I know we have a pretty big family.
Well, the Shively family was always, I guess every generation had large numbers of children. There were only 3 children in my family, and there were only 3 children in my father's family.
Yeah, because I know we have my father, Don, my uncle, John, Tom, Ron.
I have 6 uncles.
6 uncles, okay.
Well, since 6 aunts and uncles, they're not all uncles. We have 7 children.
7 children, okay. Now, are there any unique characteristics or accomplishments from anyone in our family?
Accomplishments?
Yeah, well, I know you worked for
Ventures?
Bell Laboratories and worked on something pretty special.
Well, I was in the Navy. And while I was in the Navy, I was in Japan with about a month after the atom bomb was dropped. And I got on a train and went to Hiroshima, and I and a couple other fellows walked around in Hiroshima about a month after, couple months, maybe 2 or 3 months after the bomb was dropped.
What was it like in Japan?
What was it like in Japan?
Yeah, what'd you see, feel?
Well, I was on a ship, and we went up and down, but we got liberty, and we would go off and walk through the villages, and there were quite a number of people in Japan who could speak English. So we talked to the people that could talk to us, and sightsee. It was fine.
How'd they feel about the Americans? Because I know it just happened right after the atom bomb. They must.
Right.
Were they friendly?
Those things were not discussed.
Drafted out of high school.
I'll tell you this. I was in high school, and at that time they had a draft when you were 18 years old. And I had repeated one grade, so I was 18 years old when I was in a junior. And when I was 18, they drafted me, and I went to the Navy, and I spent my time in the Navy, and then I came back and went back to high school and finished my high school.
Now, what'd you work on in Bell Laboratories?
Well, I built, that was back a long time ago when they had lumped, that was before you had the digital age and so forth. Everything was lumped elements, and so I built inductors and transformers, and for many things. But one of the things that I built for was the first communication satellite. Was called Telstar, and you can Google it. And I built two transformers, one for the incoming and one for the outgoing. Two precision double-tuned transformers. So, as one of my friends said, I have fingerprints on these floating around around the world every day.
Part of history, I guess.
Pardon me? A bit of history. I changed the world.
Yeah.
Now, building those wasn't such a great thing, but if they hadn't worked, I could have changed things too.
Yeah. Probably not for the better, though.
Right.
Now, how do you think culture has changed since immigrating from Germany, or from moving from Indiana till now, or where else did you live?
Well, I can talk about my life. I'm not going to talk about other people's life. Of course, when I was growing up, I lived out on a farm, and there was my two brothers and my mother and my father. And we were out there on the farm generally with no one around. Now, except when I was old enough to go to school and so forth, I went to school. But we very rarely went to town. We went to town and buy tobacco for my father's pipe, and sugar, and bread, and not very much else. Other than that, we raised all our food either in the garden or in the barn, the pigs, and we butchered pigs and cattle, and we raised garden, canned food, so we bought practically nothing.
Now,
nowadays we don't raise anything, and we don't kill any hogs, and
yeah,
altogether different.
We go to the store to buy everything, and everything's...
Go to the store and buy everything. Back then, we rarely went to the store.
Everything's processed and
right.
Bought off the internet. Now, to give us an idea of the time period when you were growing up, you want to talk about what kind of technology was around back then compared to now? Like,
when I my first recollections on the farm, we had a car, an automobile, as long as I can remember.
Do you know what year and make, model?
It was a Ford, and my first recollection, but my father, my first recollections would have been about 1933, something like that. And at that time we had an old, probably a Model A Ford.
Did you guys
Not too sure whether it was a Model A, but an old Ford. I wasn't into models of cars at that time, but it was an old Ford. And but other than that, we had no mechanical any power equipment. That's the only motor we had on the farm.
Any TV or?
Heavens, no.
No TV. How old were you when?
Electricity.
No electricity?
No electricity.
Oh, wow.
We had no electricity and no motors. We had horses and cows, and we did all our work with horses and cows. And later on, we would get ice when the iceman would come around and bring us a chunk of ice for our ice box. And
what'd you guys do for fun?
had no radio until I was probably 10 years old.
Wow.
And we didn't get electricity till I was about 14. And we didn't get TV until, what, I was about 30? When did we get TV?
About 55, you would have been close to 30.
27, close to 30 years old for it. We had TV.
What'd you guys do for fun without electricity?
What did we do for fun?
Yeah, just play outside.
We played ball and we ran and played tag and golly, I don't know.
Weren't you on your high school basketball team?
Well, I went to all the practices and I tried hard and I sat on the bench, but I wasn't on.
That's all that matters is you wear the uniform.
Well, that's right. I got to wear the uniform. But then again, my high school had 21 kids in the graduating class.
Oh, wow. Well, that's drastically different because I think we have a couple, like 700 or something like that.
Yeah. Well.
All right, Grandpa, I appreciate the interview. It's a nice lesson and good stories. Hope to see you tomorrow at the get-together.
Are you going to be there?
I'm not sure because
we have some more information here.